Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is the House of Law and I'm Attorney Al Jumrani. So yesterday I was a guest speaker at the postgraduate course seminar of the Philippine Society of Venerology. My topic was For Better or For Worse, My Sexually Transmitted Infection, Rights and Legalities. So in this video, I will share what I discussed in that seminar. Let's begin. If you're not aware, venerology is the study of venereal or sexually transmitted diseases, and my topic was about the legal implications of having and transmitting sexually transmitted infections. What sexually transmitted infections do you know? Well, there's chlamydia, syphilis, gonorrhea, herpes, and HIV/AIDS, among others. I will not talk about the nature, effects, and treatment of these infections as I am not a doctor. But like the seminar yesterday, I will talk about some legal issues and problems that persons with STI, that's abbreviation for sexually transmitted infections, might face or deal with. I have to emphasize though that we must separately see the infection as something to be treated and the affected person as someone who must be dealt with according to the circumstances. The infected person should not be judged simply for being sick. Instead, he or she must be judged for his or her personal decisions. We must fight the disease, not the person. This rings true especially now in the time of COVID-19. Indeed, this pandemic has changed people's attitude and reaction towards infections and diseases. People do not choose to be sick, and diseases do not choose who gets sick or who dies. It could be anyone. It could be someone close to you, or worse, it could be you. Because of this, people are now more compassionate and supportive and less judgmental or condemnatory. Instead of reacting with, why and how did you get it? Now we react with, how are you doing? What can we do to help? And let's go get you treated. Under Philippine law, there are several possible situations or scenarios where a person infected with STI must deal with the consequences of such infection. I'll state these situations or scenarios by way of a question. First, what if one of the married couple has an STI at the time of the marriage? How will that affect the marriage? Second, what if one of the married couple is infected with an STI after cheating with another person? What is the liability of that infected spouse? And third, what if a person, whether married or single, male or female, who is infected with an STI transmits the infection to his or her sexual partner? Is there a crime committed? Let's study the first situation. With respect to the situation where one of the married couple was infected with STI at the time of the marriage, Articles 45 and 46 of the Family Code provide that STI is a ground for annulment of marriage. The difference is that under Article 45, the STI need not be concealed, but it must be serious and appears to be incurable. Under Article 46, the STI need not be serious or incurable, but it must be concealed or hidden from the other spouse. However, note that the action to file annulment may be denied for the following reasons. First, ratification. When the other spouse consummated the marriage by cohabiting, by engaging in sex, or having children, despite knowledge of the STI of the infected spouse. Second, prescription. When the action to annul the marriage was filed after the 5-year prescriptive period. Third, good faith. When the spouse is not aware that he or she was infected with an STI. And lastly, contrary medical findings or diagnosis, when the infection is medically found not to be an STI. Now for the second situation where a married person is infected with STI after cheating on his or her spouse. Having the STI per se is not the ground for anything, but the circumstances by which the STI was contracted, meaning the infidelity, can be a ground for legal separation under Article 55 of the Family Code. Also, the husband's infidelity, as proven by his contracting of STI from a person not his spouse, is a ground for violence against women and children, or VAUSI, under psychological abuse. The STI here is a circumstantial evidence of infidelity, especially if the other spouse is free of infection. I mean, because STI is acquired through a sexual act, a presumption arises that the infected spouse got it from having sex with an infected person, not his or her spouse. Now, for the third situation where a person, whether married or single, male or female, who is infected with an STI, knowingly, intentionally, or recklessly transmits the infection to another, this can be both criminally and civilly wrong. First, let's talk civil liability. It is civilly wrong under Articles 19, 20, and 21 of the Civil Code. They provide that any person who willfully causes loss or injury to another in a manner that is contrary to law, morals, good customs, or public policy shall compensate the latter for the damage. Transmission of the infection, which causes harm and injury to another, is legally and morally wrong. Hence, the person transmitting the infection is liable for civil damages. Don't forget, though, that the infected person must be aware that he or she is infected, and he or she knowingly, intentionally, or recklessly got someone infected. Now on to the criminal liability. Depending on the injury or infection and the number of days that the victim became ill or incapacitated to work, the crime can be slight, less serious, or serious physical injury. It is slight physical injury if the illness, treatment, or incapacity to work lasts for 1 to 9 days. It is less serious physical injury if the illness, treatment, or incapacity to work lasts for 10 days to 30 days. And it is serious physical injury if the illness, treatment, or incapacity to work lasts for more than 30 days. It cannot, however, be considered attempted or frustrated homicide or murder because by their nature, STIs are not fatal. Even HIV or AIDS is no longer considered life-threatening. Furthermore, when the infection was on the occasion of rape and the offender knows that he is infected and the infection is transmitted to the victim, this will aggravate the rape to qualified rape, which merits the imposition of the penalty of reclusion perpetua or imprisonment of at least 20 years up to 40 years. Note again that the transmission must be done knowingly, intentionally, and recklessly. If the infected person did not know, and even if he or she knew but he did not intend to infect another, then there is no crime or civil damages. Also, the STI must have required treatment or made the victim incapacitated to work because of the infection. Some of the STIs may not have these effects though. Now, surely you are thinking, what an infected person should do to avoid exposing himself to any liability is abstinence or avoid sexual contact. Correct. But what about those who are in an intimate relationship and they cannot avoid being physically intimate? Well, they can be intimate responsibly. The use of condoms has been proven to significantly reduce the risk of transmission. Now, is there a duty on the part of an infected person to disclose his or her status? You see, disclosure is difficult. This is owing to the fact that STIs are very personal and discussion about it is stigmatizing. Thus, people are reluctant to talk about it lest that they be ostracized or they might lose their chances of finding that one true love. But disclosure on the part of the person infected is the responsible thing to do. Honesty is still the best policy. Your partner has the right to know so that he or she can make an intelligent decision whether to do it or not to do it with the proper measures of protection. If your partner becomes aware of it, it is up to him or her if he or she wants to do it. Now, if it is love that you are worried about, love is about acceptance. There can be no proper acceptance if your partner does not know. So just tell your partner so that you will know if you are truly loved and accepted. Now, if you're the other person who is not sure if your sex partner is infected or not, it is best to be fully acquainted with your partner, to know the signs and symptoms of STIs. If you are unsure, you should use some protection. At the end of the day, you are responsible for your own health. Interestingly, Republic Act number 11,166, or the Philippine HIV and AIDS Policy Act of 2018, encourages the disclosure of one's HIV status to one's spouse or sexual partner. Take note, however, that it is only encouraged and the law does not provide a penalty for failure to disclose such status. It is true that persons with STI are special. They have been given something not everyone gets. It is not an enviable situation, though. But it is still a blessing in disguise. An infected person feels that he or she has been given a second chance at life, and with advances in medicine and the availability of treatment and support services, persons with STI can live a healthy and productive life. They can turn their lives around and make it even better than before. Other people do not get that chance. Their situations could be more grave and more tragic. Thus, persons with STI still have much to be grateful for. However, because persons with STI deserve and want to live a normal life, as in fact they do live a normal life, the possibility of transmission of the STI is always present. A person with STI can infect his or her sexual partner. Thus, a person with STI should think not just about himself, but also the health and safety of his or her sexual partners. No doubt a person with STI can still have sex without having to worry that his or sexual partner may get something nasty from him or her. For as long as the sex is done responsibly and with little to no risk at all, then sex can be pleasurable without the guilt. So there you have it, just sharing the points of my lecture to the Philippine Society of Venerology. If you learned something from this video, please hit that like button, say hi in the comments, subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet, and click that notification bell to know when I upload a new video. I'll see you in my next video. Stay safe everyone. Laging tatandaan, isip ay buksan, alamin ang batas.